Two Bowls in a China Shop is brought to you by these great companies that are giving us money to let you listen to their stuff.
Bullshit, Kyle. We make this show. You and me. Two Bulls in a China Shop is brought to you by us.
Someone's got to pay the bills, Dan, because it's not our trading.
All right, roll them.
You are listening to an entertainment program put together by a company called Financial Ineptitude. Anything said on this show is not an endorsement or professional advice. Would you really want to tell a court of law you were suing us because you thought taking financial advice from two idiots on a podcast put out by Financial Ineptitude was a good idea? Really? Clown hat smiley face. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the China Shop. I am your host, Kyle, and joining me for today's midweek update is Erik from ES Invests. How are you doing today, Erik?
Splendid.
Splendid.
It was, it was great to spend time playing chess before this.
Oh, yeah, that's... Actually, I was going to save that in case we had time, but since you brought up chess, I'll just go ahead and ask. Are you the type of person who dives into something, like when you get excited about something, you just have to learn everything about it?
It's beyond that.
Right? It's like obsessive almost, isn't it?
Yes, I definitely think it's like obsessive compulsive disorder to a certain degree. It's not overwhelming to the point where it cripples me,
Right.
but it definitely is pretty impactful. It's interesting. If it's not just like something, if I like it, it's things that if I find value in it, it's really how I developed my trading skill set, was like just pure OCD.
So that's what I was going to ask, if that's a type of trait that really you think helps you in your trading.
For sure. I genuinely think it does.
I don't know how you describe that unwavering focus and dedication.
Yep. Yeah, I absolutely think it does. I think it helps me way more than, because it is somewhat controllable. It's not like I don't get to like choose where I want to deploy it and whatnot. It's a rational thought process that happens. And I think it being a rational thought process is what enables it to be kind of a really effective tool to have.
How do you mean by rational thought? Like you can
So,
decide that this is the thing that you want to learn, or
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Like let's say it's pretty easy for people to get wrapped up on like TikTok, or you know what I mean, like down a certain path, or to binge watch a TV show.
Yeah.
And the reason why I don't do that is because I mentally disable that wiring, because I am intimately obsessed with optimization, growth, and I essentially just bounce whatever I'm doing off of that. Like I can rationalize being engrossed in chess. It makes me a better tactician. It makes me able to think under pressure effectively and bolsters that skill set, so on and so forth. Whereas if it was just watching TikTok videos or something like eating, you know what I mean? Like if it's something that doesn't contribute towards my overall broader goals, I can immediately just turn it off. Like another great example is earlier today, I was washing the front of my house. We've gotten a bunch of rain and there was some spider webs and shit, and we have stucco, and it's really difficult to wash stucco. Yeah. So anyways, like the front of the house is not perfect, right? I don't have to like pull each piece of spider web off to be happy. I'm happy with the good return on my time. If I spend 20 minutes cleaning and it makes it 65% cleaner, I'm cool with that. So it's not overwhelming where it essentially derails my ability to operate on a day-to-day basis. I actually kind of have the opposite benefit where I get to direct it on things that I really want to focus on.
Is that like a learned memory thing, or is that like a learned skill set? I mean,
that's actually a fantastic question. And to be completely honest with you, I'm genuinely not sure.
So I'm trying to think of all the different things that I've gone like headfirst into and not look back, or drank from the fire hose, so to speak. Like when my younger days, I did that with like quantum mechanics. I thought that was just fascinating. I couldn't get enough of that. I read so many books. Poker was one when I was 18, 19. Pool at a young age was similar. Just space travel in general. Chess is another one, and trading is definitely one.
Yeah. And it's interesting because if you hang around traders enough, you kind of start to find that we have a lot of similar tendencies. Like chess is a big correlation. It was actually hilarious when you and I both found out that we liked chess, because we hadn't really talked about it.
Right.
And you turned me on to this whole new world that I didn't even know, which was all online chess. I literally never really messed with it. I always just, like I was telling you, it's kind of funny, but it's like just super old school. I just have a board that I
Right.
used to move around pieces when I would play with a friend, and we would just do it on the phone.
Right.
But yeah, it's really really cool to come across different skill sets and parallels between people like that. I'm the kind of person, like, I really do have a lot of hobbies. I'm involved in a lot of things, so I can almost find commonalities with traders. But traders tend to be centralized in a lot of the same things, and I think it's just because of the structured thought process that goes with those kinds of things. There's a lot of poker players
Yeah.
that trade. Not me. I actually don't really care for poker, but a lot of my friends that trade play poker and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, poker has a lot of crossover skills, risk management,
Yep.
and
That sizing.
probabilities and statistics,
Yep.
and sizing, all that.
Yeah. Totally agree.
All right. Well, before we get too far into this, I should take a moment to say thank you to our sponsors and friends over at Manscaped, Trade Pro Academy, and Orderflow Labs. We all know Manscaped is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming with precision-engineered tools for your family jewels, and with a new and improved 2.0 version of the Weed Whacker available, it's the perfect time to take advantage of our exclusive offer of 20% off and free worldwide shipping using promo code 2bulls at manscaped.com. As always, that's the number 2. And when it comes to institutional quality trading education, look no further than tradeproacademy.com. In our free Discord server, you'll find instructions to take advantage of our discount with them as well. And for all you degens who enjoy trading futures, you'll definitely want to check out the custom tools and studies over at Orderflow Labs. And of course, if you're not following Erik on Twitter or YouTube, you should be doing that immediately to get a hold of some of the best market-related content out there. Lastly, be sure to reach out with your suggestions, corrections, or questions for future guests. You do that via email at twobulls@financialineptitude.com, or you can join that many times mentioned free Discord server where a bunch of amazing people gather to share our struggles and lessons learned. Be sure to have all those links in the episode description. All right, now that we got all that, I don't want to say junk, stuff out of the way, I feel like we should probably touch on the thing that everybody's probably talking about right now, and that's the FOMC.
Oh, I thought we were going to talk about my YouTube channel crossing 10,000 subscribers, but
I
okay.
was going to bring that up. I was.
I guess the FOMC might, I don't know, that might be more impactful. Who knows? Who knows?
Well, hang on. I think 10,000 subscribers is definitely a milestone worth celebrating.
I think so too. It was really more the value proposition between, like, what's more important, right? The YouTube channel crossing 10,000
for
subs,
you?
or Big Daddy J Pal talking about rates again. Yeah, I think it's cool.
I'm going to guess for you, it's probably the subscribers.
I think it's a coin toss. Yeah,
I know for me, I was happy to see that we finally passed 50,000 downloads. That's a big milestone
huge
for us. Yeah,
that's massive.
Milestones all around.
How long have you been doing this podcast?
About 2 years now.
Yeah, dude, that's sick.
Yeah. So, damn it, there's no good segue from that.
Yeah, I'm actually very curious to see what the pivot is.
How I pull that off? There is no pivot. Yes, I'll dovishly pivot into
there you
the
go.
FOMC. Sounded like when I was reading through some of the articles that were posted on it, I guess Powell had said that they had actually considered pausing this week until the CPI and jobs numbers came through.
Yeah.
And after that happened, that's when they decided 25 bips was appropriate.
Yep. And I was actually, I think the reason why they messaged that is to make sure people know that they're still receptive to broader market conditions, that they're not, just necessarily on a straight up war path. At least that's what I kind of gleaned from that.
Oh, that makes sense. He's saying that maybe that wasn't really ever on the table. They're just saying it was so that way people can read into it.
It might have been on the table. Yeah, it might have been on the table. I wouldn't necessarily say that it wasn't, but I definitely think that they made a point to message that. And I think I do think it's an important message, because I think a lot of people are of a relative opinion that, they might just be on a war path and they might be concerned. So yeah, I thought it was at least good that they mentioned it.
The other thing that we were kind of discussing it before I hit the record button, but I was actually thinking that the 25 bips is probably the best thing we could see out of the Fed today. I would have been concerned if they had paused, just because of what that says about the why they didn't decide to hike rates after seeing, inflation not behaving the way they were expecting to. Because to me, that means that there's more risks in the financial sector than maybe we want to see.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that, when we're looking already out at the next FOMC meeting, which is scheduled for 3 May,
Mm-hmm.
it's about a 50-50 split, like almost a direct 50-50 split between no change, slight favor to no change, 50.1% probability, and then a hike 49.9.
That's funny.
So
That actually changed from I was 30% for no hike when I loaded this up before we recorded. So it's changed that much in like less than an hour.
yeah. So I think like 1 day ago per this, it would have been about 36% chance
Yeah.
of terminal. But
The funny thing is they're still pricing in rate cuts, even though Powell's been pretty direct and consistent in the messaging saying that there's not going to be any cuts this year.
yeah, the problem is it's, in my opinion, at least, it's an ignorant perspective to essentially preemptively say there are no cuts.
Right.
Right, like
Right.
who knows, like who knows as of right now. And I think that that's one of the important things about traders, and you and I talked a little bit about this last time, but I think it bears reiterating that I think it's important for traders to make a careful differentiation between kind of, passion information and general interests and tradable information.
Mm,
Because, Powell saying whatever he says, it's, good information to have right now. But if we have another crisis,
right.
who's to say that that doesn't change as new information? So,
Exactly. Yep.
yeah.
And I mean, it's to Powell's point. Like that's kind of the message that he wants to be coming out there, right? He wants people to think that he's going to be strong on inflation. He doesn't want to give people the false hope of cuts. It'd be better to surprise them with cuts than to promise them and not deliver, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think that that's spot on.
Hi guys, Future Kyle here, sliding on into the mid-rolls to give you all a sneak peek of next week's episode.
It was the comment that I saw that kind of shocked me a little bit was that I think it was the senator from Oklahoma asking about what happens if a regional bank goes down. Are they going to get the same treatment that SVB did? The answer to that was no. Like, oh, so wait, are you saying there's different rules for bigger banks? Because now you're starting to incentivize consumers to put their money into banks that are too big to fail.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is that if you look at SVB, like the CEO was actually he was lobbying
Mm-hmm.
that the bank didn't have to do sort of stress tests because they weren't big enough and they weren't important enough. He
Really?
lobbied the Feds and the Treasury to say that, and now they've collapsed, and the Fed have
Oops.
come in and they've basically guaranteed all deposits, which is, as you said, this would not happen in any other bank. It's just ridiculous how,
Mm-hmm.
and it's this classic like class divide, you could say, and you can bring that into it, and I think that is the case. Like you look at, was it the governor of California had like $6 million in there, or in SVB or something like that, and he was one of the people who was lobbying
Oh,
as well
really?
to make So there's and he was lobbying to make sure that everything was supported by the Fed, and
Of
he was
course.
also and he didn't actually tell them that he had money in there. There's just so many of these things. Like I don't know how these people get away with some of the stuff they do. It's just
That was a sneak peek of my conversation with Anthony Fatsies. Look for that episode March 27th. If you haven't heard by now, Manscaped now sells beard products. That's right, once again revolutionizing men's grooming with the brand new Beard Hedger Pro Kit. From a beard trim to a fresh shave, the technology behind the Beard Hedger Pro Kit allows you to shape your signature beard look. Now you can finally use Manscaped products to make your drapes match your carpet by going to manscaped.com and using code 2bulls for 20% off and free shipping. God damn, I was going to make that joke. Our friends over at Manscaped were kind enough to send me the Beard Hedger Pro Kit, and I gotta say, I was impressed with the quality and performance of the products. My thick, coarse beard hair has been giving me trouble with trimmers in the past, but the Beard Hedger was able to cut through the thicket without any tugging or discomfort at all. And because the trimmer has one rotary wheel with 20 length settings with only one guard, I don't have to worry about losing or breaking attachments anymore. So I've tamed my mane, and now you can too. No one likes a weird beard, so say goodbye to your stubble trouble with Manscaped's Pro Beard Kit. It all starts with that beard hedger that I mentioned. The thing's a juggernaut of fixing faces. Not only does it have the trimmer with the rotary wheel that gives you the 20 hair cutting lengths on just the one guard, it's also waterproof so you can shave in the shower and avoid all the hair in the sink. The titanium coated T-blade is tough on hair but smooth on your face, leading to a single stroke efficiency that brings satisfaction one stroke at a time. Phrasing. The Pro Kit doesn't end there, though. They also created 4 dermatologist-tested formulations for your post-trim care. First is the beard shampoo and conditioner. Gotta remember that all your hair is different. Beard hair, as I mentioned, is more coarse and easier to damage than the hair on your head, if you have hair on your head. That's why the kit has made shampoo and conditioner specially designed to moisturize, reduce ingrown hairs, replace natural oils, and promote beard health. Next, the kit has Manscaped's Beard Oil, an essential piece for your main facial accessory. No one wants a guy whose beard is brittle and dry. The oil relieves dryness both on the beard and the skin beneath while adding a little shimmer and shine, which makes you look extra fine. Cap off the kit with the Beard Balm, a pomade that shapes, styles, moisturizes, and tames for a sculpted look to attract any fellows or dames. The Pro Beard Kit also comes with 3 free gifts: beard brush, comb, and scissors to ensure your beard is ready to impress. So get 20% off and free shipping with code 2bulls at manscaped.com. Of course, that's the number 2. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com using code 2bulls. Manscaped Beard Hedger, 1 stroke, 1 guard, 20 lengths.
All right. Did you do any trading around FOMC?
Yeah, actually. So before the announcement earlier today, I was trying to trade some short volatility strategies, and then as I saw the market kind of trading around leading into the release, I flattened because I got concerned that it didn't look the way I was expecting it to, and it's really right as the Fed meeting started, there was a pretty notable uptick in realized volatility versus implied. So then I got out of it. It was essentially a scratch. It was actually a small loss after commissions. And then I'm glad I got out of it though, because as the meeting went on, just huge capitulation.
Right. What were you expecting, or what was the thesis?
Well, it's the typical FOMC. It's the same trade I've been running for essentially 2 years now. So I'm playing an expansion into the event and then post-event a contraction. But what I was seeing, especially when I was overlaying like an oscillator, I'll do that sometimes. And it just looks like the wind was coming out of the sails like damn fast. So between that and the just essentially the price movement, we trended sideways pretty effectively. But as realized was approaching up towards implied, I was still priced okay, but I didn't want to let it run away from me. So it's kind of the same structure I've been running for a while now, but just it didn't. If I stayed in the trade, it would have been ugly.
Right.
So yeah, fortunately, I made the choice to get out.
I didn't actually do any trading today or yesterday. Actually, I hear it in my voice, but definitely feeling under the weather. And that was actually another discussion that we were having off air that I was hoping to recreate here. The idea, because there's 2 schools of thought, right? There's, if you're not at your best, then you shouldn't be trading and putting money at risk is the one hand. And then you got on the other side of it, like if you're thinking of it like a performance, any type of performance based occupation, I guess would be the word. Like you're not always going to be at your best, and you have to learn how to deal with that too. I was curious what your thoughts were, or what side of the fence you're on when it comes to that regards.
Yeah, it's a really interesting dialogue. The way that I think about that stuff is I definitely would scale back discretionary risk. But like I was telling you when we, were talking before, I think that if your trading approach is so fragile that it essentially requires 100% attentiveness at all times, that's like real difficult to sustain long term.
Right, right,
And I think it also highlights just how probably discretionary and fallible the approach might be. Um, so it's not to say that it doesn't work when you're on, but obviously, just if for whatever reason there's an interruption to your process of some kind, that it completely, would have a non-linear logarithmic impact on your success rate, which to me, I think is problematic.
that makes sense. I can see that side of it. I remember when we talked after my first blow up, and I put together a plan, and then there was a discussion about following your rules and like holding yourself to those things. And one of the things that I put on my trading plan was that my morning routine has to be complete before I can trade.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't complete my morning routine, then I do not get to trade. And that
I
was
love
the
that.
scenario I was in the last 2 days.
Yep. Love that.
So it's
Yeah.
I think I could have traded around it. The way that I trade on a much larger time frame than I used to. So I don't need to be like staring at the charts all day long. I can be doing other stuff and then have a chart up, and then when something happens, then time to act. But that's the pact that I made for myself, and I think that it's more important for me to honor that than anything else.
Totally agree with you. I think that that's spot on. And I think the way I think about those kinds of things is, there's broader context here,
Mm-hmm.
at least for you. And I think for something like that, making sure that not only there's some rules involved to keep you from making mistakes, especially again, like based on the way that you're trading, but
Mm-hmm.
then also just for a management perspective, I think that that's really important. It's actually why I do this really weird thing literally every single day. And I think I told you this before, but I purposefully will force myself to abstain from something that I was going to do for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, a random amount of time. So,
Hmm.
like, if I want to take a sip of my seltzer water right now because I'm thirsty, instead of just impulsively taking the sip, I'm going to like make a conscious decision to wait, and I'll set a timer and I'll say I could take a sip in 5 minutes. And there's a very
Huh.
particular reason why I do that. It's because it forces me to get used to following rules and maintaining autonomy over my thought process when I want to.
Right. It
So,
makes every action intentional rather than reactionary.
exactly, to a certain degree, because there's
Yeah.
certain things that I'm completely fine with my body outsourcing, and not necessarily
Right.
waste.
Like I have to go to the bathroom.
Exactly.
I'm not going to
So,
risk that one.
yeah, yeah. So I think there's a balance to it, but I think integrating stuff like that, it literally just reinforces the concepts of discipline. Like that's it, just base discipline. Because the issue with stuff like that is it erodes very slowly and almost indiscernibly over time. If
Hmm.
you talk to somebody that was on a really great strict diet that they loosened up and then they just kind of let it loosen up too much and then they start eating like shit, that doesn't happen day one. They're super strict. Day two, they're just a piece of shit. It takes time for that transgression to occur, and it's in these slow movements.
Well, that's what I like about what you just said too, is that it's an easy thing to hold yourself to. And by building those habits, it gives you a lot of little small wins that you can build off of, as opposed to trying to go for the home run right out of the gate and setting yourself up to fail.
Yeah, yeah, it's something that I've done it for a long time now, and I really on a daily basis, it's so simple and inconsequential that there's never a reason to skip on it, and I'm always thankful, just for the way it makes me mentally feel afterwards.
Hmm. That's fucking interesting, man. I've never heard anybody talk about something like that. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, it's kind of I don't know if it's a science-based thing. I imagine there's probably some documentation on it, not that I've seen, but I've definitely I anytime that I've wanted to start changing a habit or creating a new habit, it's essentially the approach that I take is I start with little tiny steps and then I kind of build on them over time. But it's another reason why I have no problem, like people need all these different things on their web browsers if they need to focus to like turn off their access to other shit because
Right.
they're so egregiously undisciplined that they can't just not control their fucking body. And I refuse to allow that to happen to me.
Fucking interesting. What other weird things do you do that that can help improve discipline?
Lots of things, man. Like every single week, let's say if I was going to go in for a workout, or let's say that I feel kind of tired. I typically will, it starts with something small and then it builds. But like each week, I force myself to do a workout that I don't want to do.
Uh-huh.
So let's say, on the Thursday or Friday, it's my gap day or whatever an open day is. I literally will go through a process where I'll think about, and I'll be honest with myself, like, what do I want to do today? And
Hmm.
then I will pick something that is essentially the antithesis of that. So if I want to lift heavy today, I will force myself to do some sort of cardiovascular long run endurance event, or like just something to completely jostle me out of just a comfort based thought process.
Do you do that first and then go, like, as a reward for doing the thing you didn't want to do? Now you get to do the thing you wanted to do, or you just do the thing you didn't want to do and that's it?
That's it. Like if it's a workout, that
Hmm.
would be it for the day. But I mean, it's the same reason. I intermittent fast every day. Like I eat one meal a day, but I
Hmm.
essentially allow myself to feed after technically after 11 a.m. if I want to. But it's just typically what I let people know is like that's my normal preference. But sometimes like I am a little hungry in the morning, but I just purposefully disallow myself from eating, right?
Yeah.
And I find all of those kinds of things start to really help build those good habits. It's funny, you'll hear a lot of my habits are based on some sort of physical aspect, and it's because I find those are the more difficult aspects for me.
Mm.
I like being physical, but the mental stuff you can do it from a comfortable position, and I typically find one of the more challenging things is, if you're in a physically compromised position to continue doing the correct things. So, like after you have a really good
Oh,
workout, sometimes you don't want to do something else that you know what I mean? Something like that.
right.
And it kind of forces myself to go down a different path, at least mentally. And I really think that integrating those small discipline challenges on a daily basis, they pay dividends way more than the effort it takes to execute them.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I know it's different, but that's actually why.
Well, that's going to be the name of this episode. I'm going to call this Improve Your
Yeah,
Discipline with One Weird Trick.
yeah. But it's also why, like in my Discord, we started this a while ago, where like every single month we do like we call it the Outlier Discipline Challenge.
Hmm.
And the idea is it's something that we do every single day for a full month together as a community. And it's supposed to be something that takes essentially less than 10 minutes in total, probably closer to 5 minutes. And it's literally just to get people in the habit of doing something repeatedly for a duration of time. When I talk about how I've been able to create success, I come back to it all the time. It's not that I'm some genius. I literally probably have an ultra average IQ. Like as stupid as the other average person that everybody complains about is so stupid. The difference though is like I find things that I think matter, and I remain committed to them into perpetuity without fail, no matter what. Period.
Hmm.
And that goes a long way.
I was going to make a Marine joke in there, but I respect you too much for that. That's the low hanging
No, you
fruit.
don't. But they're always game.
Oh, man. Any other good tips that you got for people that want to improve their discipline? Any other words of wisdom?
Yeah, I think another really good market related one is pick something, no matter what it is. Just pick one thing, whether it's the SPY, the VIX, something you want to learn about,
Hmm.
and every single day, without fail, for 30 days, just force yourself to write something down that you observed about it. That's it.
I like that.
What this starts to do is it helps foster a really important trading skill set, and it's super well documented. It's pattern recognition. The
Hmm.
other thing it does is it forces us to learn to be focused, because I know myself, I get lost in the sauce sometimes. There's so many tickers out there. So
Right.
you can end up spending a ton of time looking at a ton of different tickers and actually not really look at anything. So
Right. Right.
this aims to not permit that to happen. And then it also integrates that thing we were talking about, the discipline aspect, because the idea is, even if you had a all day at work and you got home and your wife was pissed off at you and you had a bad night and then your kid threw up, like you still fucking do it. You still do it.
And then you feel
And
good about it, knowing that you hit. Yeah.
exactly. You start to prove to yourself that you can remain disciplined and consistent towards something. And that is also a gigantic part of the reward. So it's kind of stacking a lot of really useful tools as a trader into one simple practice.
I love that for another reason too, and it makes the chart time that you're spending intentional. Like there's something specific that you're doing with it, I don't know how many hours I wasted when I first started my journey of just, oh, I'm looking at the charts, but I didn't know what I was looking at. I was just watching. I had nothing that I was
Right.
trying to observe. I didn't have like a plan like, oh, maybe I should plot some levels and then today I'll see how they interact at these levels, or I'll watch for, points where high delta comes in and see what that the response to that is. Like if I would have had more intention to what I was doing, I think I would have jump started my learning curve. I would have been much further than I am now, I think.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Like being intentional about
Hmm.
the activity. Like, yeah, I absolutely love that.
All right. Well, that's some fucking great content for today, I think. Got anything else that we need to cover before we wrap things up here?
No, man, I'm actually glad to have hit some of that stuff, though. I know it wasn't necessarily on the docket, but I think that
No,
that's just really good dialogue for people.
freaking love. I wish we had more time to explore it.
Yeah, I think about that stuff a lot.
Maybe I'll have to do a discipline series. Maybe that'll be one of the next ones we do. Improve your discipline and patience.
Yeah, I think if there's one thing I'm well, patience I'm not great at. I'll be completely honest with you, but the I definitely discipline. I strive to continue to develop, but it's something I focus very heavily on.
Yeah, I love it. All right, folks, that's going to bring us to the end of today's episode. I'd like to say thank you to everyone who stuck around to the end and Eric for taking the time to share some of these nuggets of wisdom. If you'd like to know more about how Eric trades, you can find him on his website at esinvest.com. You can check us out at twobullsinachinashop.com. Be back in your ears soon with another exciting episode, but until then, hammer that 5-star rating like it's the market sell button of your favorite bank stock and take care.
That was a pretty good one.
Oh, yeah, come waiting for it.
I'm just not ready, you know.
Oh, okay.
I feel like sometimes you can't rush a good thing.
Like your low energy goodbyes.
Yeah, exactly. You can't. It takes me a minute to like actually dial back down in order to drop like a solid
Oh, you
goodbye.
gotta take some deep breaths.
Hmm. That was it, by the way. Goodbye.
Two Bulls in a China Shop is an entertainment program, and all thoughts and opinions expressed in the show belong to the hosts and not of any company. They are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security or investment product. It is only intended to provide entertainment about stocks and the financial industry of trading. If you make trades based on what you hear in this show, you assume all risks for those trades.